Hey guys, I just wanted to share a really quick video about the importance of contracting in a coaching setting. So when you hold a coaching session, it's important that you provide a contract to your client to complete before the session, ideally, so you guys can continue the session when they get to you. So the importance of setting a contract, why is it important? Some coaches may not do this, but I've found it really, really helpful when I were coaching clients. Now I spend my days training people to become coaches. So the importance of contracting, why is it important? It's important for many different reasons, but one is about boundaries. And boundaries for the client and also for yourself. For me, I'm a multifaceted coach and I bring in different techniques when working with a client. And that might mean visualization techniques, which requires the client to close their eyes. Now, that might not be appropriate for the client. So, actually contracting that and having that in the contract for them to read and sign allows that information, if it's not relevant for the client or the client doesn't wish to go there, for you to have that information before you start your coaching session. It's also good because it allows the client to understand the professionalism of who you are, that this is a value exchange. So you can talk about fees, you can talk about timing, you can discuss confidentiality in your contract, you can discuss punctuality, late fees or cancellations. So you can discuss all those things, and it gives the client an opportunity to feedback to you what they're not happy with. For instance, a client might not want to close their eyes. They might not want to have an EFT technique. They might be very clear on what they do and don't want. So by having this contract, it also allows the client to set their boundaries as well, what they will and won't do in a session. What's also super important when you're kind of contracting is to try and have everything written down in the contract so it's there in black and white, because you can obviously go back to that if it's a signed contract if you need to. But also when somebody's in session with you, so your first session ideally will be to discuss the contract. Was there anything in there they weren't happy with? Is there anything in there they'd like to highlight? Is there anything else they feel they should know? You should know as their coach. And what you want to do is you want to set expectations on their perception of what coaching is and what it isn't. So this is where you can clearly outline the differences between coaching session, a mentoring session, a counseling session, or a therapy session. Because even though there might be theme similarities about creating a supportive space for your client, the roles are very different. So a coach is not a therapist, a coach is not a psychotherapist, it's not a medical doctor who can diagnose or somebody who can give advice. So they're not an advisory center. They're a coach facilitator who sees the client from a person-centered approach, who knows that the client holds all the answers within them, and it's the coach's job to shine a light on areas where the client may be stuck or have limiting thinking, to help the client change their perspective to find the solution to their problem. So it's about highlighting the space you're going to create for your client. It's super important to create a safe space for your client. So what does that mean? A safe space is where you have the opportunity to build rapport. It's where you connect with your client. And obviously it's a subtle, energetic connection. Rapport is where two people trust each other. So from a your client's perspective, you are creating a space to enable them to be quite vulnerable. So for somebody to allow themselves to be vulnerable, they need to trust you. So it's about building up trust. It's about letting them know about your ethics as a coach. Maybe the kind of accreditation that you hold and the ethical boundaries that you have within that body that you're associated to. For me, I'm with the IAP CNM, and all my coaches become accredited with the IAP CNM, so we adhere to their codes and ethics. So creating the safe space allows your client to come to you and openly share what is on their mind, what is limiting them, maybe past problems or themes in their life that they feel are getting in their way, and they're the areas you can help them make the biggest transformation with. So outlining your role and define expectations. So what does that mean? So your role is a coach. It's not, as I say, a counsellor, a therapist, a fix-it, a rescuer, or any of those archetypal hats that you might feel you want to wear as maybe a new coach, because you probably in this industry because you're service led and you want to help, but your role is not that. It can be quite disempowering if you jump in and rescue a client, so you have to try and remain quite neutral and non-judgmental when you're in a coaching session. It's no good if you jump in to save a drowning person and you can't swim yourself. So if somebody is going through something, and let's say they shed some tears, then it's not to reach out and rescue that person and stop their emotional release or pity them or feel sorry for them. It's for you to be able to maintain your empathy and compassion as a human being and offer support by creating that space that allows that client to feel so comfortable in your presence that they feel okay being vulnerable and maybe crying, let's say, rather than you saying, there, pity, you'll be okay. So your role is to not try and fix or solve somebody's problem by offering advice. Oh, I know what will work for you. I did this when this happened to me, or Jim Bob down the road, he does this when this happens. You're not an advisory center, and you do not know what is right for that client, because every client is different. And we all hold a different map of the world. We all see life through a different lens because of the experiences that we've had. And as you probably are aware, hopefully, that all our experiences are internalized experiences. So we put our own meaning on our experiences, and they are very different from each other. So clear on boundaries. So again, this is, are you happy with the client turning up 20, 30 minutes late to an hour session? What will you do if that happens? Outline your value as a coach as well. You have to set the bar for yourself as a coach. If you are presenting yourself as, oh, it doesn't matter if you don't show up, or don't worry that you didn't tell me you weren't turning up for the session today, don't worry, it's you're 30 minutes late, that's no problem, let me move all my other clients so I can accommodate your hour session that you're late for. So you have to value yourself as a coach. You have to value your time, especially when you're doing complimentary sessions or a kind of clarity session at the beginning. Maybe it's free, and you do really have to set your boundaries from the start. If that client doesn't turn up for their complimentary session and then calls you 2 days later, oh, I'm sorry about that. What are you going to do in that situation? How are you going to value yourself and honor yourself as a coach? So I think that's all I want to say about it. It's just really this contracting phase. You should have your written, practical contract that you send to your client, but also when you're with your client face to face or on the phone or over Zoom, it's about that first session being around, okay, how do you want me to coach you? What type of coach do you think you'll benefit from? Maybe you know what style of coach you are. Maybe you're a strength spotting coach. Maybe you're a coach that really can identify the hidden strengths in a client, and that's what you're going to bring out in the sessions. But is your client aware of that? And is your client aligned? And does your client expect and know that this is your style of coaching? You might be a coach that likes to challenge people's beliefs, challenge people's thinking. Now, your style could be directive, or it could be emergent, where you just allow things to, open, or you might be very structured as a coach. Okay, each session I'm going to have a new tool for you to use, a new exercise, and this is how it's going to be. Does your client know that? Do they know what to expect from your style of coaching? Because once they're aware, you've got their buy-in. If you don't have their buy-in and you start to challenge their behavior, they can become very defensive and you've lost rapport. So really setting out clear boundaries, clear understanding at the beginning around your style of coaching, what they like, how they might like to be coached, what it is they're really wanting to work towards is a biggie. So spend the time to get the clarity. And even if you end that session and you think, I don't actually have a clear understanding of what they want, like things like financial freedom, to be happier, to lose weight, to find love, these are all kind of untangible goals. And it's quite easily to fall into the trap of going straight into coaching, but you don't have clarity on what financial freedom actually looks like, how much weight they actually want to lose and within a time frame, all of those kind of things. What does happier mean to them? How will they know when they become happier? What are their markers that they set for themselves? And this is where you as a coach need to really shine the spotlight on what does that mean for you and why do you want that? Understanding their values and what is emotionally driving them towards wanting to meet and set that goal with you. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you do want to train, you can check out the soulawakeningacademy.co.uk. Take care for now, guys.